Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you another video. All right, so it's a lot going on in the world. Of course, I want to pray for everybody who's suffering in any way before I start any conversation about anything. Um, just keep going. Keep going is what I tell you. Keep fighting the good fight, even if nobody believes you and you're telling the truth. Keep standing firm on your truth. You don't have to turn away from it. I had so much going on in my head from the moment I woke up out of my dream to now, and a lot of it has to do with just ego nonsense, not having my life together, and then from there perceiving how maybe others are looking at that. Conversation I had with a friend, Brunzy, yesterday contributed to that a little bit, talking about judgment and what comes your way when you don't have your life under control but are asking for charity. That really weighed on my heart heavily because it's the reality of my circumstance, but it's not something that I value or think very much about. I don't really care what people think of me, to be honest with you. I care about how I come off, which is also something that was on my heart last night. Leaving a couple therapy sessions up here, probably offended a few people. I just had to let it be, man. Just had to let it be. But a few things that I want to say is I saw some propaganda. Propaganda's the wrong word. I saw a post this morning, about 10 minutes ago. A gentleman was saying, men can grow into the men women want us to be, but in his mind, women can't grow into the wives we want them to be. And I grew up understanding that to be a message that was in a lot of the music that I followed too. I thought it was interesting that this is a black man talking mostly to black people. It's always something that's supposed to make us not believe in ourselves, but that's really what it was. I took from that he was telling men to get away from women that you're pouring your heart into and trying to make it into better women, because they only gonna be what they are. And while I don't have the wisdom that he has in regards to whatever he's seen in his life, what I can say is if I'm a woman seeing something like that, it could shake my confidence in becoming a better woman. And that is ultimately what I don't want anyone to feel. Regardless of whether a man has wisdom in his heart for choosing a certain woman to be his wife or not, what I don't want women to think who follow me is that just because I don't know the spirit behind the wisdom, whether or not he's on to something or not, I don't know. What I don't want you to think is that every single person, every single woman can't grow into being a better woman for themselves. You don't have to grow or have the goal that I have for you. But what I don't want anyone to take away from anything that I say or anything that they hear in this world is that they can't grow to be the people they want to be. And as a result, you'll be who you need to be for who you're supposed to have in your life. That's what's on my heart to say. I think it's an important thing, because a lot of us are walking around with certain wisdom based on what we've seen in our lives. But just like any other wisdom, it's only limited to what you've seen. You could find people that can dispel that or make you not believe in that by proving to you that what it is that you see isn't a full way of looking at every single body. And a lot of times when we project onto everybody, we put out the notion that what we see is everybody, and that's just not the case. When people talk about, in this various circumstances, I'm listening to conversations about how black people should or should not support Israel/Palestine for various reasons, and how we've been treated by Israel and Palestine respectively. But you're looking at cases. You're not looking at everyone. Generalizing everyone is a bad look. You can find Arab people who've treated black people bad. You can find Arab people who've treated black people good. What you were looking at will determine what it is you're talking about. You can find Israeli people who've treated black people bad. You can find Israeli people who've treated black people good. You can find black people in those states who have nothing but good to say or nothing but bad to say. It just depends on what you're looking at. And generalizing everyone, thinking that you can provide a blanketed understanding of what you're looking at by doing so, just leaves you at a disadvantage in regards to what it is that's actually there. You are disadvantaged in the sense that you don't surmise what it is that see there properly, and you're going to mislabel somebody and therefore create an enemy where a friend would otherwise be. And two, vice versa, unfortunately, in some cases. Like I said, I don't know the wisdom behind trying to find a wife, or pouring the wrong energy into the right right energy into the wrong person. I don't know the wisdom behind that. I'm not someone who has a wife. But what I can say is people can grow into who they want to be, man. You can choose today to start doing things differently, or you can choose today to start praying toward the ability to choose within yourself something different. And then one day at a time, you do the difficult thing. One day at a time, you take a chip away from what it is that ultimately is the big piece of gold that you're trying to break down in the sand. You chip away at it. And you certainly don't listen to people tell you you can't be what it is that ultimately they would put up as a pedestal, as what they would choose for themselves. Because to be completely honest with you, that person is not who you're supposed to be with. That person is telling all of us that you're not who anyone's supposed to be with in this case. And so you reinforce that in your mind and then continue doing things that don't chip away at that goal. I want you to continue to go after your goals. And you struggle, we don't know how much time we have left, maybe we don't make those goals happen, but the idea that people can't change is the absence of a God that can do anything. And you put God in your life, you can become what it is that they say you cannot. You can change the things within yourself that you believe you cannot. And if not for the possibility of that being true, then I'm never going to get myself out of this situation. And I have every intention to. Like I said, I don't know the wisdom. Maybe for all I know, he's seen every woman he ever tried to pour into, he poured nothing into and wasted his one life. And now he has this wisdom to provide me, and I need to stop doing this or that because I'm never going to, you know what I mean? As long as I'm pouring into somebody that I'm pouring into, I'm not going to get what I need. All of that is his wisdom upon the world that he's in, the circumstances he's in. And I can either choose to run with that and let it affect how I deal with the people in my life, how I try to inspire the people in my life, how I choose whatever woman in my life or what have you. And I'm just using his specific post as an example, but really it's much more broadening than that. It could be a friend, it could be you, maybe a lady trying to pour into a man, all of these different things. And you know, I wake up this morning and wonder if I've been given up on in some cases because of my circumstance. Listening to my friend Bronzy talk about it, even though she's checking in on me, seeing how I'm doing, you know, maybe she believes that I'm never gonna get myself out of this. That's not something I can do anything about. All I can do is continue to chip away at the gold in front of me. Continue to pray in the morning. One thing I did this morning before picking up my phone was pray. That's a goal that I had for myself as soon as I noticed that there were people telling me that that's something that should be wanted in my life, is to speak to God before I pick up the phone. I wasn't doing that. And then I decided to start the process of it, and now I've been effective in doing it a couple days in a row. You know, when I decided I wanted to get in shape, I didn't have the ability to look in the mirror and see who it is I wanted to become. I saw the work that I needed to do, and I chipped away at that goal. Various different things in my life. Walking away from lust. There was a time when I was watching too much pornography, when I was doing too much nonsense that had nothing to do with staying away from lustful energy. And when I got to a point where I was ready to make that happen and make the change, it was one day at a time. And the more I poured into more productive ways of living, the more I was able to stay away from what it is that ultimately I felt I was doing too much of. And eventually it's not in my life at all. Same with smoking weed. When I decided I was going to sacrifice weed smoke so that I could save money, so that I could have a more clear mind in these circumstances. First couple of days it wasn't easy. I was thinking about it all the time. And then as I continued to chip away at that gold, it became sand. Now I haven't smoked in about a month and a half, 2 months. I don't want people to think you have to be locked into the belief that you can't change because others believe you can't change based on other people that they couldn't change. I don't want you to believe that you can't turn into the person that you believe you should want to become based on somebody else's feelings about what it is that they think you can't do. Because I know that there's a God that they need to insert into their lives when it comes to surmising the people around them or the people that are about to come around them. Because a lot of times the enemy wants to use your past experiences as a bridge to continue to attack you, to keep you from people that God wants in your life, so can give you new goals or point at you new pounds of gold that you need to chip away in the sand. These are things that the Lord could put in your life at will, his will. Maybe you weren't raised to be my quote-unquote idea of what a wife is. And maybe you don't want to become that based on the fact that it's a goal that I have for you that you didn't have for yourself. But if you want to see yourself become something like a wife or whatever it is I got going on in my head in that mindset, you can look at that big pile of gold, that big pound chunk of gold, and you can chip away at that in your own way. And maybe you don't become what it is I want you to become, but you'll definitely become who it is you want to become in that way if you have any desire to make any changes at all. Maybe you feel you don't need to make any changes. And a conversation like that will make you feel like you need to start making some changes, because now you don't live up to somebody's ideals or understandings or standards of what it is they think a wife should be or beauty should be. Maybe you don't look at your body and see what you want to see, but you see the hard work at getting in shape. It's a difficult thing, so you want to go to a doctor or something, chip away at your pound of gold that way. I don't want you to do that, because I think that a lot of times that leaves you in a disadvantaged position with your health. You may die on that table. You know what I mean? That surgeon's table. But I have a friend that decided she wanted to have some surgery. You think I deterred her from having that surgery? No. Her pound of gold was to save her money so that she can afford to reach her own goal. And every day she went to work and saved her money and properly put her money where she needed to, she wanted to be able to get what it is that her goal was. If you're really someone's friend, you're not going to put standards upon them. You're going to look at the standards they set for themselves and encourage them within those standards. And you're not going to look at other people and their inability to live up to your standards and then apply that to the next person and say they ain't going to be able to make up. They're not going to live up to my standards either. How about you set some goals for yourself that don't have it, so that you're judging others for what it is that they're not doing in your eyes? Now, far be it from me to tell you that that's the best way to choose a spouse. Maybe you do want somebody who already has certain characteristics in place. Maybe because I'm 39 years old, I can't wait for who I want to wait for, or whatever. I don't know the wisdom behind that, but I do believe in a God that tells me to deter the energy of deterring others from believing they can change for the better. I believe in loving people for who they are and then letting the Lord sort out the particulars. And I believe that any one life that I'm in, if I'm connected with the God that I serve, He will make it so that none of my efforts are in vain, even if I don't necessarily have the standards that I want in place being lived up to by myself in the mirror, or maybe someone else who I might apply those standards to. He'll help me take those standards and shove them to the side, and then look at the goals and the gold and do what needs to be done in regards to sanding that gold and reaching those goals. I don't need to serve the enemy by finding resentment for what has already been in my past that has proven against what it is that ultimately could be possible in my future. I believe I can change into somebody that others respect in a different way. I believe I can help others in a different way. I believe I can help myself in ways that I wasn't able to in the past, because I hadn't yet turned the gold that I'm looking at into the sand that I now benefit from, that I now look at and am proud of, because I've seen myself see a boulder and turn it into sand. I was able to chip away at that, so now I can look at this and chip away at this, and I can look at that and chip away at that, and eventually I can turn this whole room into golden sand, because it's possible. Your goals are possible. The standards you want for somebody else don't have to be what you're focused on if you focus on yourself. You don't have to go chasing some standard. You don't have to chase somebody that ain't meant for you. You don't have to do any of those things. If you're focused on God, He'll tell you how to use the one life you're in. Otherwise, we're just using our natural mind in sin to label and put forth some type of huge perspective on something that really just needs steps from which to climb. You can look at that mountain if you want to and say it's too high, or you could take the first step and begin your climb. Which is it? You could say that's too much and I'm not going to be able to do it, or you can do what you need to do to put yourself in a position to get it done. Which is it? Because there's no perfect application of truth in these situations. Either some are, some aren't, or you're going to pay attention to that and label it as balanced as possible, or you're going to look at what you see and be lazy about your thinking and say, that's just all there is, because that's all I've seen. That's laziness. That's mental laziness. I don't care if you've seen 100,000 people all do the same thing. There's going to be somebody over there that didn't, and you may relate to them. And y'all come together and y'all can influence everybody else. But if you don't believe that's possible, then of course you're just going to think that's the only thing that's over there, and you're going to mislabel that person, discard them, and never find the strength that y'all two can come together to find it in the circumstances for which you believe in one another. I do not believe that the God I serve is going to take the effort that I pour into myself and make it wasteful. At least of all of this in this moment, I'm not going to let somebody else who's telling you that you can't change by way of what they're trying to say to other people like them deter you from believing that you can do what you need to do to make the changes you want to make, that you want to make, or surmise that there are new changes that you should make based on what it is that you see in yourself that maybe you will find that can be better. Maybe you have a drug problem and you hear some nonsense coming out of someone like that saying, hey, all men, don't pour into a woman who's got like this, because they ain't never gonna be nothing. And then you just walk away from that thinking you ain't never gonna get over your drug problem. Maybe you want to take drugs because of some deterrent type energy like that. We will overcome that. I don't know that everybody has somebody out there for them. I don't know that everybody's going to be able to take what I'm saying and overcome their problems, or that every single piece of gold you're going to be able to sand down. It's not my place to tell you what you can and cannot do, or what you should or should not root for within yourself. I can't tell you that the person you're trying to pour everything into is the person you're supposed to pour that into, but I can tell you I know someone who does know. You meditate before you wake. When you wake up in the morning, before checking out your phone, you meditate. You let the Lord tell you if you should stay in a situation that you're in, if you should continue looking at this piece of gold. Maybe that's not gold at all. Maybe that's stone, worthless stone, and there's gold over there. I don't know. But your meditation, your intent on connecting to something greater than yourself, and your intent on thwarting deterrent energy everywhere it is found, is going to determine whether or not you feel inspired. Inspiration and encouragement will inspire what is possible. Now, whether or not it's effective in getting it done, entirely different, but it can inspire what is possible. And I don't want you to give up on yourself. I don't want you to give up on the people who've already proven that they are worthy of pouring some into. Maybe you pull some of that back. Like I said, I don't have the wisdom. That's not my expertise. I might have that wrong in my own life. But it's my connection with God that's going to help me understand not only what I should be doing, but that He can do good with what it is I'm mistaken in doing. See, that's the part that also a lot of deterrents ain't going to tell you. Sometimes the worst mistake you make will be the best decision of your life, because it would propel you into spaces where you know better and do better and make friends with people that otherwise you wouldn't make friends with if not for that bad circumstance. There are things that God can do from within your mistake that can make it so that it's not the worst thing for you. Especially if you're intent on connecting with Him. Insert Him into these circumstances and He can do miracles within anything. Especially if your intent is to be gracious, if your intent is to inspire positivity within others and within that mirror, you can see Him do what they say can't be done. A lot of people would not believe because they don't have that connection, and then they will become examples from which someone like that can then report back on. And maybe that was the point, to sour him so that he will reverse inspire others. God needed to be with them. God needed to be with him, so that what he was looking at wouldn't be such deterrence to his belief that what he has in him can inspire others positively. Because you can make damn sure he's inspiring those who see what he's saying negatively, if they are those who believe what he's saying about themselves. While he's not even addressing them, he's addressing the males. You can influence people however way you want to. Maybe you think he's helping the males, but he's hurting the women in some cases. Especially if they're teetering on whether or not they can change to be the person that he's ultimately saying that he wants them to become. And I understand that. Because when he talks about who can't change, he's also talking about my sisters, my nieces. He ain't just talking about a wife that maybe I want, or a girlfriend that maybe I would want, or what have you. No, he's deterring anyone who hasn't yet lived up to the standards he's talking about. And I don't accept that for my daughters who may need to change. I don't accept that for my sisters that may want to make changes. I don't accept that. Just because he's seen some people who were godless in their inability to change, or didn't decide they want to change for him, or whatever the hell. You put God in your situation and he will show you if you need to make those changes at all. For all you know, you make those better changes and then find yourself in a worse position. Maybe it's meant for you to be exactly who you are, and you're supposed to stay that way. So what I'm telling you is, there's no perfect science to any of this. Ain't no human beings know what it is that you can be or not be. Everybody who's seen whatever they've seen isn't able to tell you who you're going to be, or what it is you can or cannot do, especially if you put God in that circumstance and be intent on becoming who it is that you want to become. He wants you to become. If you're close enough to him, he'll let you know. So go to him first. If you're pouring into somebody and you're not seeing the changes you want to see, go to him first. He'll let you know if you're supposed to be pouring into them people anymore. He'll let you know if you need to go away. If you hear something that I've said that may have deterred you into thinking that you're not a good person, go to God. He'll let you know what to do next. If you're from anybody you need to be listening to, or from somebody you need to shut off, he'll let you know. Sometimes it's going to be deterrent energies out there that don't want to do nothing but make you feel like it's hopeless, or that it's useless, or that you're less. When none of that has to be the case. None of that has to be true. None of that. Today is a new day. That is a new piece of gold. Walk over there and chip away at it. Turn it into sand and prove him wrong. And he sees enough people like you, then he'll have to change his tune. Because that's all he's doing, is looking at what he's seen and what he's gone through, and he's reporting back to us. And so that's what I'm here to tell y'all, man. Don't give up on yourselves. Man, woman, child, don't give up on yourself. If you want to be, quote unquote, a better person, you know, you can be that. I don't know what defines better. I imagine it would be the God that I serve and the compassion that he's put into our hearts to love others. I think that's what better means. But a lot of what it is that I'm seeing these days is they generalize this, they generalize that, and I'm saying, well, you're not accounting for them who you're not looking at. You're not accounting for they over there who don't have nothing to do with that. I was raised to believe that you do not generalize. My mother used to tell me that was one of the first things that she was giving me as a child in wisdom. Don't generalize. She repeated it so much. And I think it's one of the reasons why I'm so open to people being different, why I'm so open to certain things, like being the good in the world that I want to see in the world. instead of looking at who is not supporting me and saying they don't support me. I'm not looking in the direction of the people who are supporting me. That's all that is. Don't roll with them because they didn't support black people. You were looking at a group of people that didn't support black people. You need to look somewhere else. There were some people over there from their camp who were supporting black people. If you want to apply your truth to that, then you'd say they all support us. Stop waiting for others to support you to show support. Or otherwise, you're just another somebody that they are looking at labeling us. When they're not looking at me, and I got all the support in the world for them. And I'm not waiting to see who supported me, because I know there's some over there. I believe it. I don't have to see it. I don't have to be looking around trying to see if everybody is in unison supporting me. If I show support, they will honor me. And by way of honoring me, I will inspire that some who can only see one and label all will see all as supporting them. My name is BDF 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.